Hey, Mr. Stoddard, this is my government final project. I chose to do the women's rights movement. So like Abby, I'm going to divide it into 5 sections. 1, the history. 2, the topic in the women's rights movement that I decided to do the project on, which is abortion laws. 3, the recent news. 4, the political parties' views. And 5, my opinions. So first of all, let's start with the history. If I keep looking down, it's because I have my notes right in front of me. But the women's rights movement went out to talk about the different issues that women then and women now still are facing. This started in the late 19th century and, like I said, continues to go on during this time today. In the Seneca Falls Convention, women like Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Susan B. Anthony, Lucy Stone, and Sojourner Truth talked about these issues and traveled the country giving lectures and educating for the next 40 years. During this time, the current laws giving them the will to do this were the equal access to education and employment, equality within marriage, and a married woman's rights to her own property and wages, and finally, custody over her children and control over her own body. However, some have changed, but others haven't. Equality within marriage most likely will never change, even though that's sad to say. Equal access to education and employment, we still are able to be employed and get the same education as a man, but in reality, men in some cases still do get paid more just because they are men. And custody over their children, the law kind of favors more towards the mother in some cases. However, there are those cases that they favor the man more because the mother isn't able to take care or provide for her children. But recently, there still has been the inequality, I guess, of being able to say that we have control over our own bodies, when in reality, we really don't. This now ties into my second section, abortion laws. Women don't really have the opportunity in most states to be able to have a safe abortion. Although abortion was still happening and being unsafe before it became legal in 1973, after then, it's been up to the states to determine if you can or can't get an abortion, determining on how far along you are on your pregnancy. Although abortion is legal in all 50 states, one of the most talked about states where there's a lot of political party influence is Texas. As of September 1st, 2021, abortion is illegal in Texas once a fetal heartbeat can be detected. However, there are circumstances where a woman won't be able to know if she's pregnant or experience any symptoms until after those 6 weeks. And that ties in to my third section, the political views and ideologies of abortion laws. And that ties into my third section, the political views and ideologies that people have seen and talked about. For the Republican Party and a person being conservative, they tie most of their views on religion, saying things like, why would you kill a baby? And why would you end someone else's life? And they're very pro-life. And I'm not saying that all Republicans and all conservatives think like this. It's just kind of what the stereotype is. But there's stereotypes for Republicans and conservatives, there's stereotypes for Democrats and other political parties as well. But those are the main two that I based my research on. For Democrats, they're very pro-choice. They think very much a woman's body is a woman's body. That's not any of your business. To be able to make a law based on a fetus. In most cases, they call them fetuses. They don't refer to it as a baby because realistically it is a fetus. It doesn't have a heartbeat. It's not a baby. It is a baby until it's able to move and like have it be known that it's there to them. And for Republicans, like I said, it's very different. It's very opposite-minded thinking. They think about the baby's life, like, oh, they give certain examples, like outside of Planned Parenthoods and stuff like that. They give protests and are like, your baby could be the next doctor, your baby this, don't kill the baby. They think a lot on the Bible, and they think that you're going to go to hell if you kill the baby. And that ties into my fourth section, talking about the controversy over the recent news of Roe versus Wade. And the topic of abortion has been discussed in the past weeks, talking about the leaking of a U.S. Supreme Court draft. And it indicated that the court would vote in favor of overturning Roe versus Wade, which was a landmark ruling from 1973 when it became legal. In 1973, that regulation protected a person's absolute rights to an abortion from excessive government restrictions. So in this case, if they were to overturn Roe versus Wade, 14 states have already declared that the laws they have in place would protect the right to an abortion no matter what. However, like I said, there are places like Texas that would absolutely ban abortion if they had the choice. Which now ties into my fifth section, my views and my opinions. Personally, I don't think that I'm a Republican. If anything, I'm a lot farther than that. But I wouldn't consider myself a Democrat either, because I think that there's flaws in both political parties that I wouldn't stand for. So if I really had to choose, I would consider myself pro-choice, because coming from a woman, me, and having to also base my life later on where I'm going to live, depending on abortion laws or not, and if they're going to be legal in all states, or if I'm just going to be able to live in a certain state out of those 14, I think it's very scary, because we've come far. We still haven't reached like the perfect end. There still is a lot of stuff wrong in this world, and although it's sad to say, there will always be things wrong in the federal system, in everything, because, well, nobody can be perfect. But I think that abortion should be regulated and should be able to be safe, because there still is going to be people that either don't have money, can't support themselves financially, were sexually assaulted, were raped, they have an abusive partner, that won't be able to get an abortion safely. So in most cases, although it is sad, a lot of people, a lot of women die. And there are cases where you can be pregnant and there's just like a disease or like something that isn't good for your body while having the baby in you. So in most cases, doctors can say that you can die if you give birth, which is a very real reality. And women like that won't have the option to live, to sadly say it, because the way that abortion is performed illegally is also really scary. And I feel as if though women were able to have the right to choose up until, I don't know, 14, 20 weeks, then they would be able to make the right choice based on their needs. If they want to have the baby, if they want to not have the fetus. But yeah. And I really do hope that there is change and that things turn out to be okay, because with Roe versus Wade being overturned, it makes me really sad to see that we were one step closer to having full control over ourselves as a woman. But yeah. Thank you for listening to my rant and to listening to my presentation. And I hope you have a good year, Mr. Stoddard, next year. Thank you.